So I want to talk to you about money. Money seems to be one of the biggest problems that people have. You know, we talk about the concept of a kingdom, which means to be able to have it all across every area of your life. Why? Because if you have a great relationship and you don't have money, the lack of money is going to create a big problem in your relationship, no matter how strong the relationship is. If you've got a lot of money and you don't have a great relationship, you've got the same problem. Heaps of money, no real connection, no real depth to your life, and eventually the relationship will break down and you're going to lose half or more of the money that you've created. So money is a really important area of life. But when I have worked now with thousands of people over the years, and one of the things I see about our relationship with money is that it sucks. You know, think about it. We go to school for at least 12 years. You remember the class you attended, right, that showed you how to make money? It showed you like a couple of great systems in the stock market, in real estate, in business, how to make money. Remember that class? Or maybe that was the one that you skipped, right? The one that you didn't attend. The one that you didn't see was on your schedule. Because the truth is, right, our parents didn't teach us about money. What did they teach us? They said, okay, go and save. Go and save money. You know, don't spend money. Be conservative with your money. Put it in the bank. Remember those bank accounts we used to get as kids, and we'd save our money into those, trying to teach us that habit? Yeah, how's that working for most of us? Given that like 70% of us are going to end up in retirement with not enough money to live on. How does that work, right? Our 401ks or our superannuation in Australia, it ain't doing the job. They're returning on average less than 8% per year. That is not going to make you rich. 8% per year means, right, it's going to take you 10 years to even get close to having money back, and 12 years in total to double your money. That is not going to make you rich. And the truth is, we could all use more money, right? Who can't use more money? So in my own life, like in my 20s, I was highly motivated for a lot of different reasons to create money. So by the age of 21, I was earning the equivalent now of about $250,000 a year. And I became a director of the real estate company that I was involved in. And by age 23, I'd left and started up my own development company because I'd found one method, albeit a high risk method, but a method of leveraging money massively. And there are a couple of those in life, right? There's the stock market, there's real estate, and there's business. Now, which one of those do you think you can leverage faster? Business, right? Because literally you could start something up and have a cash flow going just from expertise, like no capital in, getting some clients, learning how to market, learning how to get them to want your product. You can leverage that massively. But it takes an enormous amount of work, enormous amount of time. What about the stock market? Yeah. Again, you can leverage in the stock market, right? Put a little bit of money in, borrow the rest from your broker or from the banks. You can leverage up to about 70%. So if you buy a stock for $1,000, they'll lend you $700 on a good stock. Other stocks, less. And you can leverage that up, but the risk can be a lot higher. And you have to learn how to minimize that risk. You have to learn how to predict human behavior, because that's what drives the stock market. In fact, it drives any market, right? And then, once you've done that, you can invest wisely into the stock market. But most people don't. They hear some tip, from the taxi driver or from a best mate or a bro, and you go, yep, I'm diving into that stock. And it crashes and tanks, and you burn your money, and then you say, I'm never going back to that again. I'm going to go back to my mum and dad's strategy, right? The strategy that they showed me in school of just saving. Or maybe I'll put my money into a house, like that's really meant to make me rich. Have you ever met any really wealthy person that said to you, or said anywhere, my house made me rich? I don't think so. So it ain't going to be your house that's going to make you rich. Ain't going to be your house. So when I looked at it and I thought, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to be like the guys that I'm working with? How am I going to be like the boss of my company when I was, 21 years of age? I'm going to be like him. He's got this massive office and he overlooks the beautiful view of the river. And he lives in the best suburb in my city. How am I going to be like that? And then I came across this file that I discovered. And it gave me one simple method of doing it. And when I used that method, I created a $400 million company, $400 million worth of assets in 3 years. How do you do shit like that? You find a method that works, and there's always a method, but you've got to convert it to your method. Now, if you don't want to do that, then you've got to find somebody who's got a method and ride their coattails. Listen to these numbers, right? If you invest $10,000 in a vehicle that creates a 20% return per year, and most commercial real estate will do that. Why? Because you get an initial 8% return, then you're getting around 10% growth each year overall in that investment. If you look at the long-term averages in America, in Australia, it's about 10% per year is the average capital appreciation out of a well-managed, well-selected retail investment. So you're up around 18%. Now, if you're working with someone who knows what they're doing, you can leverage that to 20. So put 10 grand into a 20% returning investment, right? And then every year after that, save up another 10 grand and reinvest again. So 10 grand every year. After 10 years in that investment, you will have a total of 300,000. So you would have put in 100, 10,000 a year for 10 years. You would have put in $100,000 over 10 years, over a decade, but that will turn into about $300,000. If you leave it and keep doing that for 20 years, you will have $1 million, and you would have put in 200,000 in cash yourself over, right, 20 years. 10,000 a year, 200,000 for 20 years. What do most people do with that money? They blow it on shit. They blow it on stuff they don't need. You do it yourself. I could get your credit card statement right now, go through it, and I could allocate about 30-40% of it to what we call shit. Stuff you're buying you don't need. Now, I've been there. I did it in my 20s and 30s when I had all that money. I blew it on shit, but I learned. Okay, I came back out of that because I lost it in my early 30s. I came back out of that, generated enough money to sail around the world for 3 years and not work. And end up in a beautiful house like this with a beautiful view, nice cars, be able to travel, all that sort of stuff. How do you do that? Listen to this method. Okay, if you do that for 20 years, now you've got $1 million. If you do it for 25 years, right, you do it for 25 years, you've got $2.6 million. And here's the kicker. Here's the real kicker. This is what's called compounding. This is where you get the super boost. You do it for 30 years, you end up with $16.5 million. $16.5 million. Now you put in 10 grand a year for 30 years, right? Okay, so that is $300,000. And what that means is, okay, you've only put in 300 grand, it's become $16.5 million. That's the power of investing in real estate. That's the power of finding something, a method that's going to create that. And I'm not saying you can't do it in business. You obviously can. I'm not saying you can't do it in real estate. In the stock market. You obviously can. I know many people that do that. But one of the things you've got to get about money is it's not income. Okay? Most people focus on, how can I make, 200 or 300 grand this year? It ain't that. See, what most people won't do is they won't invest. And if they do invest, they leave it in their super, don't even know what their super or their 401k is doing, and end up with nothing. Like it's a lie. You're not going to get rich. You're not going to have enough. This is the big lie that's been told to us. You're going to end up in your retirement with not enough money. And that's not where you want to be, is it? You want to be in a place where you've got more than enough money. But you've got to figure out your relationship with it. You've got to figure out that what you've been taught and conditioned to be in the money system, ain't working for you. You've got to find a new way. And the only way you're going to do that is get out of your comfort zone and start making choices with money that's really going to blow it. You've got to find a method. Okay, you've got to find a method that's going to create the wealth and the money that you actually want. So, go out there, be a warrior, be a relationship warrior, and make it happen, because you've got a responsibility, okay, in your family to generate that money, to make it secure. You know, the whole concept we have inside Relationship Warrior is a treasury and how you create that treasury. Well, you've got to do it with money, and you've got to do it with the system that's actually going to work for you. I know in my own life, in those periods, you know, when I was focused on consumption and income generation, I generated no real wealth. Earn it, spent it. And I know if you're listening to this, you've done the same thing, right? But you can't keep doing that. You've got to find that method of investing, taking money out of it. And what I want you to think about is, there's another way of creating that excess, right? Whatever you're earning at the moment, you need to be taking at least 20 to 30% of it above what you're currently spending that you can save. And in doing that, that's the money you're going to invest. And then as you invest that, yes, it's going to take a while, but you're going to end up at a point in your life where you go, oh my God, how did I get here? I got millions of dollars in the bank. So you remember reading about Warren Buffett, right? And in his 20s, he was the biggest miser on the planet. He boasted that he drove the same car for 30 years. He boasted that he wore the same suit for 30 years. But when you hear the numbers that I gave you, and he looked at them, and you can get, he probably went to an extreme, right? But you can get why he did that, why he focused so much and stopped spending money. The problem with Warren was that he didn't have the concept of being a relationship warrior. He didn't have the concept of having it all or a kingdom. He was just focused on one area, and eventually it cost him his marriage and his relationship with his kids. Now later on with his kids, he healed that relationship up, which is fantastic. Not so much with his wife. Unfortunately, she passed away. So you need to look at it as a responsibility to have it all. So go out there and make sure you do it.